They don't see the fire you've walked through. They don't see the nights you stared at the ceiling, questioning if you'd make it out. They don't know how many times you've swallowed your screams, because silence was safer than explaining yourself. People don't see the truth. They see the image. And the cruel part, the world will judge that image before they ever meet your soul. So if you don't control what they see, they'll decide who you are, and they'll get it wrong. This world doesn't hand out power. It doesn't hand out understanding. It hands out judgment, fast and ruthless. They'll look at you for 3 seconds and decide, are you valuable or invisible? And no, it's not fair, but it's real. So what are you showing them? Because whether you realize it or not, you're broadcasting something every second. Your walk, your tone, your energy, it's all screaming before your mouth ever opens. So what's the message? You don't need to be the strongest in the room. You don't need to be the smartest or the richest. But if you move like you've already won, if your presence feels like gravity, like time slows when you speak, then you've already shifted the room in your favor. The truth is, and people respond to presence, not potential. Presence, potential is what you could be. Presence is what you are when you step in. And most people, they haven't trained their presence. They shrink, they doubt, they hope someone else will validate them, but hope is not a strategy. And doubt, that's blood in the water. You either own your space or someone else does. Every move you make is a message. Every silence is a strategy. Every eye contact, every hesitation, every breath, it all speaks. And people are always listening, even when you think they're not. Your aura tells them what kind of respect to give you. Your energy tells them whether to follow you or forget you. You don't need a title, you don't need approval. What you need is intention. You need to walk into every room like you designed it, like you've already lived the moment they're still preparing for. That's how kings move, not because they're perfect, but because they don't flinch. Even in fear, they stand like giants. You can't show up unsure and expect royalty treatment. The world doesn't crown the most deserving. It crowns the most convincing, even when you're still building, still learning, still doubting. You must look like the answer to the question nobody knows how to ask. You don't need to fake it. You need to own the process. There's a difference. This isn't about deception, it's about declaration. Cleopatra understood this. She didn't fight with weapons. She fought with presence. She didn't scream for attention. She commanded it with stillness. Her image was so powerful, history still whispers her name. She wasn't remembered because she was real. She was remembered because she was unforgettable. That's the art. Don't aim to be liked. Aim to be etched into memory, but you're waiting to be understood, waiting to be seen, waiting for someone to ask, what's your story? But the truth? No one's coming to rescue your narrative. No one's reading between the lines unless you bold them. People don't respond to your truth. They respond to what they feel in your presence. So how do you make them feel? Inspired, respected, unshakable? Or do you leave them unsure, indecisive, forgettable? Let's be honest. You don't get to be forgettable and powerful. You don't get to be passive and respected. You have to choose. Every single day, you are not just a person. You are a brand, a myth in the making, a message walking in human form. So what message are you walking with? Because whether you admit it or not, you're training the world on how to treat you. If you carry yourself like you're not sure, they'll never be sure about you either. If you enter small, they'll size you down further. But if you walk in with certainty, even when you're scared, they'll feel that and they'll follow it. But what if they see through me? What if I'm not ready? What if they find out I'm still figuring it out? Good. Let them find out. Let them see you still growing, still building, still becoming. But do it in a way that makes them believe in the process, in a way that makes them trust your evolution. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't believe in perfection. It believes in conviction. And conviction doesn't need all the answers. It just needs one reason to stand tall. You want to be unforgettable? Start with your silence. Make it speak louder than their doubts. Make your presence so sharp it cuts through noise. Because in a world of shouting, stillness is a weapon. You don't need to look the part. You need to become the part. And becoming isn't loud. It's daily. It's subtle. It's relentless. So you're still building? Good. Build with intention, brick by brick, look by look, word by word, win by silent win. This isn't about faking confidence. It's about developing consistency. The way you speak, the way you breathe, the way you look them in the eye like you already know how this ends. And how does it end? With you winning. Because you decided that was the only outcome. The world doesn't ask if you're enough. It watches how you show up. It listens to your tone. It feels your aura. So control those moments. Own them. Because when you own the moment, you own the room. When you own the room, you shift your life. People don't follow the most talented. They follow the most convicted. Ask yourself this. When I enter, do people lean in? Do they feel me before I speak? Do they remember me after I leave? Because if not, you're not done yet. You've got more building to do, more sharpening, more silence to weaponize. And the only way to do that is to decide. Decide that your presence will be a legacy. Decide that your voice will be thunder, even when whispered. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be unforgettable. Not because you're the loudest, but because you move like you know who you are and what you're here to do. So let them watch, let them guess, let them wonder, and walk in silence while they adjust to your presence. Because once you control how they see you, you don't just play the game. You become the one who writes the rules.